seen typically as very old school. We've got a lot of patents in the field which we've deployed. So in the last 5 or 6 years, we've developed around 17 different patented methods, 5 of which in the last year alone. We are obviously ISO certified, we have an NABL accredited laboratory, and our R&D is DSIR accredited as well. This is, the sort of customers we have. As I said, we have around 2,100 plus customers. Automotive specifically, we would have Festo, Gestamp, Spaco. Then we've also got Bharat Forge. We've got firms like Mahindra, Mahindra Sona, etc. as well. Internationally, we export to around 5 continents, 35 plus countries overall that we're exporting to. Now, quality is something that in the automotive space is mission critical. I mean, any failure in any single aspect of any automotive product results in substantial losses, right from reputational loss, which is obviously the very, very first thing, and then a host of financial issues as well, plus the fact that you can face significant legal costs depending on the nature of the failure. This is in terms of if a product itself fails or a subsystem fails. Protecting against this, therefore, is extremely important. Now, for a lot of people, however, quality has typically been seen as a cost. So I'm spending on quality, and how much can I scale that back by? Because whatever you save is, you see it as improving bottom line. Factually, however, if you even look at hard data, it shows that firms that invest in quality actually do far better on all manner of financial metrics in the long term. So this is HBR research, which shows that whether in terms of revenue, where over a 10-year period you had a 47% difference between firms that invested wisely and which didn't, as well as in economic profit, where you had an 81% difference over a period of 10 years, which also spanned the recession. And if you look at the highlighted part, which is the recession, you can see that firms investing in quality actually outperformed others even during this period. The other thing which was very interesting, and unfortunately I don't have the snapshot, shows that firms which invest smartly, which invest in quality, and which also invest in CSR last longer. So if you track just the Fortune 100 firms, the ones that survived over a 75-year period that they tracked were without exception the firms that were spending more on CSR and quality. Now, on the revenue side, people always see the upsides. Firms that have better quality or that spend more on their quality management clearly get better revenues, etc., etc. A lot of firms, however, underestimate the impact that good quality has on the cost side. So you can save significant amount on the cost side just by having better quality equipment. So on the material cost side, you're able to have not just better process controls, but you're able to reduce the material cost itself. For example, for anyone who makes cast iron, and there's a lot of cast iron castings used in automotive as a sector, copper and nickel are more expensive than the cast iron itself. And you have a range that you play in for both copper and nickel. So if you play towards the lower end of the range on nickel, for example, and on copper, you could on average on just about 100 tons, you could save 7.5 lakhs on a yearly basis. On productivity, of course, improvement in quality results in elimination of rejections, reworks, etc., and you get far better productivity. Metal testing, I'm not going to go through all of this. I've just covered the fact that there's a lot of improvement, but some of the high impact areas are, one, you're able to optimize alloying elements in your metal, which I've touched upon, and the other is on R&D. So one of the examples that I take is you have Exide, which makes batteries. And a couple of years back, I think Exide came out with a requirement that cobalt, which was never tested in their lead, needs to now be maintained below 10 ppm. And this was simply because they found the impact that cobalt of above 10 ppm has on the life of the battery. Similarly, if you look at the steel industry, you have a whole range of microalloys. Now, microalloys have helped steel manufacturers dramatically reduce the weight of the casting, dramatically reduce it without impacting strength, in some cases improving strength, hardenability, etc. So all this kind of work requires intense research, obviously, in terms of how you forecast what's going to happen when you change elemental composition, as well as validation when you actually have the metal. The other aspect is any failure analysis. So if you do any failure testing, or if a part, God forbid, fails during a test run or on field, you're able to go back and check whether there was anything in the elemental composition which impacted the parts and which caused the failure. Where a spectrometer helps in all of this is that within around half a minute, or actually on the high end around 10 seconds, you're able to get a result of up to 35, 40 elements, which tells you down to the last 1 in 1 million or 0.1 in 1 million percentage what the composition is. So which element is there and what the exact concentration is. If you are running a furnace, if you have a foundry of your own, you're able to change the composition. If you're a buyer, you're able to either pass or reject. The other important thing it does is, as a buyer, if you're buying metal, you can also use it in your pricing estimates. So whether it's scrap or whether it's actual metal, you're able to use it on the pricing side. As I said, cast iron, just about 300 tons per annum, you could save 7.5 lakhs a year just on nickel and copper. Now this is how, if there is a vendor to an OEM, this is how he himself can impact the entire ecosystem. If he has better cost, productivity and quality controls, he's able to offer better prices, obviously better lead times and assurances, which enable the OEM to reduce inventories. Obviously, it gives them more price flexibility and scheduling flexibility, drives their volumes and profitability, resulting in a cycle across the vendors as well as the OEM. So the entire ecosystem benefits, and therefore one of the imperatives is that as OEMs also, it's important to ensure that the vendors have the right quality systems in place and that they are doing all their testing correctly. So in our field, OES, there have been 3 major developments across, I would say, the last 3 to 4 years. One is in terms of detector technology, but more importantly from a user standpoint, what it's enabled. The other is on applications. So the kind of things that you can do using a spectrometer. And the third is more vendor specific in terms of what an entry level OES costs, because till around 5-6 years back, there was always a question that the smaller vendors had in terms of, this is all a very nice story, but I don't have 15 lakhs to invest in a spectrometer. So in terms of high-end OES, this is of course one of our models, the 10008X. Today, apart from doing routine castings or routine solid metals, we're also able to do 0.1 millimeter thickness wires. We're able to do razor thin foils down to 20 microns. We're able to do master alloys, which might be used in copper, aluminium, etc. And we're able to do any manner of shape. So whether it's an odd shape or not, you don't need to melt it and get it done once again. You can do it directly on the spectrometer itself. Another feature, again, a patented feature, I mean, most of these are patented. Another one which we've just launched is the ability to actually analyze a powder. So you can analyze a powder sample on an OES, it takes around 7 seconds. The other thing is critical elements, for example, which can cause failure even at very, very minute levels. Typically for steels in particular, they are hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen. We're able to analyze them down to 1 part per million. And when it comes to high purity metals, copper, zinc, lead, we're able to go up to 99.997 or even 99.999. So these are the models that do those. There are other models which are for smaller workshops or in-process tasks, where again, even in mid-range models today, you can do nitrogen analysis even on models which start at 10 lakhs and 12 lakhs. Earlier, this was restricted to something that cost 25 lakhs. But like I said, third big thing is what's happened at entry level, where people still felt that either they would get a substandard product or they would have to spend a lot of money to do the analysis. So today, this is a model we've just launched, and this is literally this small. It's 10 inches by 11 inches by 12 inches in size. It weighs around 15 kilos, so you can literally carry it under your arm and move it around. It has every feature that would be seen on a high-end instrument as well. All it compromises on is that instead of doing 1 ppm analysis, you do at 50 ppm. which for most people, particularly anyone in cast iron, brass, etc., anyone in anything apart from extremely high purity analysis, this is more than sufficient. And it starts at 7 lakhs including the installation. For anyone in aluminium, you'll know that one of the big issues in aluminium castings has historically been porosity, which is caused by hydrogen. For that, we make an instrument which analyzes the hydrogen content in the molten aluminium itself. So you're able to degas your melt further if the aluminium content, if the hydrogen content is too high. Oh yeah, and one big thing about this is it costs just about 5 rupees per analysis to be able to do this. So across any manner of instrument available for this, the big advantages are it's fully automatic, fully computerized, no manual intervention required. It gives traceable analysis, so you can actually trace it to certification bodies. You can recalibrate it on site, and it costs just 5 rupees per analysis. In terms of range, I've obviously not gone into everything we do. I've covered the 2 main models, but we also offer a huge range of models in between, including mobile spectrometers for in-yard testing, grade testing, etc. We make a range of accessories which help the spectrometers do better, including obviously one of our key ones, which is the wire adapters down to 0.1 millimeter. And in terms of after-sales support, which is obviously critical for the industry, we offer service across 17 different locations in the country. Yeah, total cost of ownership is the lowest when you have a spectrometer of ours. We ensure that our argon consumption is extremely low. Service obviously is always available very, very fast. It's economical, and we also give guidance to anyone who wants NABL accreditation for their labs. We've just received an award. I mean, just yesterday we got the information that we've been given the TDB award by the Department of Science and Technology. That's for innovation and commercialization of indigenous technology. Thanks a lot. If there are any questions, I think we have a couple of minutes I can take them.